Hey everybody, Adam from RYO Offroad. So here to take a few minutes to walk through the 2016 assembly instructions, or just an assembly video, just to kind of help aid as you guys are kind of working through these and give some pointers or some tips if we run across those types of things. And also in this video I'm actually going to be doing kind of a combination of the 2016 and the 2017 Ford Winch bumper. And the only reason I'm doing that is because they're very, very similar, and the only thing that's going to be different, and I'll show you this as we go with pictures or videos, is going to be this piece is on the 16 and it's not on the 17. The 17 has a brace that comes in the back side of it. And that's really the only physical, I should say that's the only differences visually you'll be able to see. You know, the width of the horns change a little bit, and a few of those small things, some of the angles, excuse me, some of the angles and stuff like that, but all in all it's very, very similar. So I'm just going to kind of push those two together. But here it is. Here's this, the 2016 bumper for RYO, just the standard winch. Again, these are going to come with the options to put light bars and a couple of the light pockets over here. But I'm just going to do the standard winch right now. Again, like I've said in the other videos that I've done so far with you guys, I'm going to be using SolidWorks, which you can kind of see here, just a 3D software that I can design in and just kind of show you different features like I'm doing right now. And also I'm going to be doing and referencing some pictures along the way, as well as the bill of material that you guys received with your bumper. It just tells you the item numbers and what part this is and what part that is. So I'll be referencing that. That will also coincide with your assembly instructions that you also received. So the item numbers of the bumper will go back to those sheets and also the prints. So let's go ahead and jump into this quick. I'm going to start with kind of the guts of this thing. I don't know the better word to use, but it's the guts. It's the insides. It's the main mounting on the horns and things like that. So that's kind of what we're going to kind of look at so far. All right. And here are the guts, the internal stuff. Basically, the top of the winch plate's going to be here, and here's your mounting points for the horns. Our support braces underneath of here, and then also just our strengthening gussets, or our strengthening plates that are bent that come across here to give us kind of that box that we want to have a really nice strong bumper. So when you guys are pulling with your 8,000 or 10,000 pound winches, we're not going to have any issues. We're gonna be very strong and stout. So let me go ahead and explode these views up. Okay, so here's an exploded view of the internal guts. I removed some of the pieces. I'm going to show you those just in a second here. But I'm going to try to keep the item 2, which is your top winch plate, your mount plate. And I'm also going to be attaching item number 5, which is this one. And then also item number 1, which these are the same part, just getting a quantity of 2. What I would do is set this down on a tabletop, and you can see in the pictures, as I said earlier, I would lay this down on my tabletop, whatever you guys have. It doesn't have to be anything super special, but I would use those 90-degree weld magnets that we've talked about in all the other videos. It seems to be a really nice tool to be able to assemble these bumpers right on your tabletop. And what I would recommend is I'd bring this item 5 in, and I'd also drop in item 1 on both sides. This one's exploded again, but I would drop these pieces in here. I'd run probably 2 90-degree magnets, or even a square is okay. But this, when you just get this assembled with our engineered tab and slot, there really should not be any movement at all, and it should be held at a 90. I would recommend just simply putting a 90 degree, putting a couple squares in here, and running it, you know, on these two surfaces, and then also one this way, just to make sure that we're good and we're 90 degrees all the way around on everything we need to. And again, with the engineered tab and slot, as you can kind of see with the highlighted, these just all snap together and lock and locate, again with that engineered tab and slot. It's a really fast, accurate way to go. Obviously, we're cutting all these pieces with a sheet laser, which is within a few thousandths of an inch. All right. So after that, let me see if I can get my other view to show here, and we're going to explode that out. Again, so we're laying on the tabletops like so. This side is already assembled, as you can see. And what I would do at this point would be to bring this guy right here, which is your item 3 and 4, this one and this one, just your bent support gusset to get, like I said, give us that box, that extra strength that we want. And that's bringing this guy into place, and you have your tabs, your 2 tabs coming here, and then you have your slots. And I'm gonna run this forward here real quick. Let's animate that. So that's gonna come into place, and this guy's gonna come in. And what I would do at this point is, once I got those pieces in there, before I tack it, let's get this one in there also. It's just gonna help make sure everything's a little more accurate. When you're forming a part like this, you have 2 forms. Even though they are simple angles, you can run into some other, I'll call them headaches, getting the formed parts to be very, very accurate as our sheet lays or flats. But we get them obviously within our print tolerance that we engineered. What I would just say is make sure you get them into your tabs and lock them in here, and then put this plate up into the 2 tabs. I should zoom in there. And you can kind of see that guy's locked in. And then at that point, I would still throw a 90-degree magnet or a square just to make sure you're good with these surfaces also, as well as these, just to make sure that you're good to go. Tack all that up, and that's your insides, that's your guts. And this one goes together pretty simple. And like I said, the 17 is just a little bit different. It's going to assemble, all these pieces will be the same, or very similar, I should say, minus your item 5. You won't have that in the 2017, but you will have that same, or a similar piece, I should say, up on the top side, which you can assemble at this point. Alright, let's jump into the skins of this guy. Alright. So here we are with the skin. I'm sorry, the first step of adding the skins and the outside items. Again, we have our guts and we have our internals all built already. We got them tacked up. Okay, so here's our middle skin, which is going to be your item 2. We're going to go ahead and put that in. But before you do that, if you take a look at this picture here, you can see that I have it kind of hanging off the side of the table for an option, or as well as just putting some 4x4s, or whatever you have in your garage, your shop, whatever you have laying around, that'll kind of work in there. And so I would be snapping that into place. I'll try to do the same view here that you guys are seeing those pictures. I'm gonna go ahead and just animate this down so you can kind of see how we're gonna go. It's pretty straightforward. And again, with our tab and slot design here, that's gonna lock into place. Okay. So the next items we have items 3 and 4, which is the next section of our formed front skins. They're basically a left and a right mirror image, so they're only going to fit in one way, again with the tab and slots. And I'm just going to go ahead and animate this in. And realistically, when I'm doing the rest of these skins, the front parts there, I would keep it orientated the way I had it originally. It seems to go together really well when it's like this. Just because everything gets kind of deep and it gets, I'll show you a picture of that, like the skins kind of come out this way, if you will, so they kind of taper out. So I would keep the orientation as you have it for putting that front skin on. All right. Go and animate those guys in. They're going to slide right over the top of the pull points into their tab and slots. You're going to have a little bit of clearance and a nice little fillet here to kind of come in and weld, and then just to kind of grind that nice and smooth to your liking, obviously, if you want it ground or not. I'll actually throw a picture in here, but not ground. As you can kind of see in this picture, these aren't ground yet, but we're going to recommend you could do it. I think it just makes the bumper look like it's more polished, it's just a sharper vehicle, or sharper looking bumper. But again, it's up to you what you prefer. Okay, next step. So now we have our outside 2 skins, which is this guy here, and that's item 9 and 10. Again, another mirror image with the slots to lock into our tabs. And I'll give you a kind of top view, if I can. You can kind of see the shape of this part. Straight, and then we kind of start angling out, and that's just an aid to help making sure that when we're putting these skins in, that angle is held correct. We don't want to have a big gap here, because your next parts are just going to kind of what's going to look funny, as well as it's going to be more difficult to assemble this. So just validate that. So it's pretty simple to show this. These guys are going to come in and lock in the tabs. And these two pieces are going to come on down, and once I animate this here, I'll kind of show you a little bit of the corner to corner we're looking for. So you can see here there's the V groove where you can run your weld bead along there and be able to grind that to how you guys see fit, as well as all the way along here. You don't want to have a nice strong bumper, so I would say that you'd want to weld all that complete. But at this point we're just tacking. We got one more step here, and that's basically just putting the doubler plates on. And there they are. There is a long and a short one. These are items 7 and 8, and I know I'll explain in the other videos, but I'm going to explain it again. We made it a little longer on the one plate just to reduce the size of this fillet. We don't want to have a big half-inch gap there and keep the same part throughout just because it limits a part number. We want to be able to have it the less heat put to this bumper as possible. Just so it helps with warping and that welding stuff. Once we get these ready to get installed, I would take a 1-inch shaft, maybe a couple of 1-inch shackles, and put those in there with a couple of vice grip clamps, and just go ahead and tack and go ahead and tack those into place to both sides. And that's your bumper. That's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward. And like I said, this picture you see here, this is the 2016, and in this picture that I just showed is a 17. And like I said, the only difference is this plate is on the 16 down here, and then the 17, again, here's that picture. You'll see that there's this back brace, and that's really the only difference that you're physically going to see that's noticeable. Besides, some of the lines are a little different, the heights and shapes are just a little bit different, but as far as assembly goes, they're going to assemble, dang near the same. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. I do appreciate it, and thanks for shopping at RYO.